Now we're continuing with our mind training system, and it's getting wilder by the minute, I have to say. So we are looking at a commentary called 8-Session Mind Training, and it has been passed person to person, but they think the author of this particular commentary was a Rinpoche named Drolma. And I think it's very helpful first to review what we've accomplished so far, the introduction and the first session, then to quickly practice, let's say, our home ground, Tonglen, and then go into the next session, because this commentary is challenging to the imagination and challenging conceptually, which is quite a delight. I was thinking this morning, I first learned Tonglen when I was 40 years old. Now it's more than 30 years later. And how has this practice remained so vital, so extraordinary? It's because there is always something to learn when I observe my mind, and there are these wealth of teachings that can help expand how we think about Tonglen. Really, I think the gift of the Vajrayana from Tibet is wildly to challenge our imagination to go as far as it can. So this particular commentary is helping us use Tonglen to soften the deeply held identification we have with our body. So, a few minutes ago I was coughing and I was thinking, I am coughing. And then I was thirsty and I was thinking, I am thirsty. So there are bodily sensations that are intimately connected so that I don't even think about how I perceive it. I am thirsty. So the introduction really invited us to consider, all right, all of this is going to be about how we perceive the body and working with that. And then last week, we worked with essentially how do we comfort the body and maintain the body, particularly with food and drink. And so if we think about what keeps the body alive, we're forever consuming food and drink. If we think about we're in the desire realm and how much we respond to difficulty by wanting to comfort the body, and a primal way of doing that, Easter dinner, Easter bunny, food, drink, candy, all those things. And so the first step in this 8-session training was to think about everything that you eat and change or adjust or shift the perspective to within the body are infinite number of beings. We learned from John that scientifically some of them do not even have the same DNA, but there are worlds and worlds of systems of infinite beings that our body is carrying. And why is it we think we have ownership? I'm sure each of one of those beings think they have ownership. So we were invited to think of taking in food and drink and seeing that as offerings to those inner beings. Then those inner beings received all the blessings of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and actually became a Buddha, which we then visualized at the top of our head and descending and dissolving, so that there was a sense of all of those beings achieving enlightenment before us, and then inseparability of our Buddha nature with the Buddha nature of those beings. So that's what we've accomplished so far. So let's think about Tonglen again. This is our home base as we're understanding this mind training system. And usually when we practice it at Vajra Dakini, we use a very simple set of instructions. First, remember bodhicitta, loving kindness and compassion. That our essence, our nature, is inseparable from loving kindness and compassion. And if we were to really understand that, our nature is the emptiness of the Dharmakaya that has the flavor, the taste, the aroma of loving kindness and compassion. So we remember, even if we can only think conceptually about our nature, we remember that is our nature. The next step is breathing in something that's a little challenging. We use smoke, oil, an unpleasant odor. So we practice taking in something we would normally resist and sending out that comfort that we want to keep for ourselves. Then we go to a situation where we imagine someone very dear to us that is suffering, where we would naturally have the aspiration, if I could, I would take this suffering from you. I would take even 1 minute of your pain, might be all that I'm capable of feeling like I could take on, or 1 minute of your thirst, 1 minute of your confusion, breathing that in on the in-breath and exhaling it on the out-breath. And then the fourth stage is making that bigger. And this is where the next session of this training focuses. How can we really challenge ourselves when we're making it bigger? So normally we talk about, let's say, thirst. A minute ago I was thirsty. Then can I imagine the suffering of someone dear to me if they were very thirsty, taking on that thirst, which is unpleasant, sending it out? Now can I imagine bigger? Can I take on all the animals that are, in a climate-challenged heat, taking on their thirst and sending out what it feels like to have cool water coming down your throat. So this particular mind training session says, all right, this is the system we're working with. Let's go as big as we can with this. And it says, let's see what it's like to multiply our body as many sands as there are in the Ganges River. So this is a way of saying infinite. So if I were to imagine it in the context of Maine, I might say, I'm imagining that I can multiply my body to as many sands as there are on Popham Beach. And you could be looking out your window and saying, I'm multiplying my body as many times as there are grass blades in the field. So however you want to challenge your imagination. And then we call to our imagination the different realms of the desire realm. So we can start with, let's say, the hell realm, the hungry growths realm, and the human realm. So all of those beings who are in this moment in a war zone, that's a hell realm. All those beings, there was bombing in the Middle East. We were recalling the fishes dying en masse in New Zealand. Often in the US, this is storm time. So the people who are in the middle of the tornadoes or the fires just starting out on the West Coast. As many beings multiplying our body so we can be one-to-one with each of those beings in one of those situations. So we might imagine ourselves in the town where the tornado hit, one-to-one of our bodies in front of every single person, every single family member, every single first responder, everyone involved in that situation. And we're breathing in that suffering and sending out loving kindness, sending out the physical energy to cope with the situation, sending out food, water, warm blankets, however we want to imagine it. So let's just pause here and see what it's like to imagine that there's not one being here that I'm identifying as a body, as an individual, but multiplying that body and going to one suffering situation that comes to your imagination at the moment, and seeing yourself with hundreds of people, as many as you can imagine, your body multiplying to offer comfort. So let's sit here for a few minutes. And let's keep expanding to the animal realm. All the animals in that same situation. All the animals in meat factories. All the chickens in the chicken factories. The egg factories. All the animals who are so affected by circumstances without really the capacity to understand the circumstances. We're multiplying our body in increasing numbers, one-to-one with each animal. All the shelters, not moving from animal to animal, but multiplying your body. There's a beautiful film about birds in Delhi falling out of the sky due to pollution. So think about all the animals affected by climate change, not understanding what's happening to their environment. Multiplying your body one by one by one. And with each one, breathing in the suffering and exhaling what is needed. Now going even further, just the human realm in general, the smaller sufferings of everyday life, all the full hospitals, all the waiting lines, all the economically struggling people, all the people poisoned by power, poisoned by too much money. Your body multiplying to be just a hand around the shoulders of all the different kinds of beings, all the politicians who are confused, all the families, all the people who are lonely, until your body is multiplied as many times as there are drops in the ocean, sands on the shore, trees in the forest. And with this incredible expansion, see all of these beings just in front of you, looking at through multiples eyes at multiple different kinds of beings, seeing each and every one of them getting all the Dharma they need so that they have the capacity to realize their nature as Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And see each and every one of them becoming a Buddha. That comfort and that kindness led to opening to blessings, showers of blessings. So all the different kinds of beings alive in this moment on the earth, you're in front of each and every one of them and they're becoming a Buddha. And the earth itself cracks open and becomes a jeweled container. And all those millions of emanations of your body become an offering. And all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, from their heart comes extraordinary bodhicitta, filling that cup of the earth and turning all those remnants of your millions and millions of bodies into ambrosia. And that ambrosia is in turn offered to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So your body transformed into ambrosia, bodhicitta ambrosia, see that being consumed by all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas with rejoicing and delight. And the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas dissolve into the Dharmakaya nature. And as they dissolve into the Dharmakaya nature, our bodies no more. However, we can understand that moment, conceptual or experiential, of our bodies no more, a taste of emptiness with the flavor of compassion. Sitting with this, resting in this however you're able. So often when we are doing Tonglen and we get to the stage where we expand, there's a sense of, I'm only one person. How can I deal with, the dimensions of suffering in the world? And so this is quite an extraordinary training for our imagination, to see what happens with multiplying our bodies infinitely. And it's a totally different approach to that sense of boundary that arises. And then the idea of transforming all those bodies into an ambrosia that's offered. So it's another challenge to our boundaries and our belief about our limits, which are based on identification with a very limited body, turning it into ambrosia, totally offering, and then how do we rest in no body, the emptiness, at the dissolution of this meditation. So we have a chance to reflect and just really rejoice in how playful with our capacity to imagine these different kinds of instructions are, and how they're helping us look at things from so many different perspectives that the grasping to the one perspective, I am this one being sitting here, is just shaken up a little bit. So let's do the dedication prayers, and we'll stop the live version and then have a discussion. So Annie, if you would read again.
By this virtue, may I achieve omniscience, and may all who travel on the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating all enemies, confusion, the cause of suffering. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. For this realm encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of every benefit and bliss without exception. Tenzin Gyatso, you who are one with Avalokiteshvara, may you remain steadfast until samsara's end. Embodiment of the three precious jewels, Padmapani, who holds the teachings of the victorious one, seeing the all-goodness meaning with the wisdom eye, may you who are spontaneously established activities live long for hundreds of kalpas. Noble Manjushri, the Lord of Speech, who manifests to hold the teachings of the Triple Gem, who raises the lamp of the sage's teachings, may you who are the light of the Dharma live long for hundreds of kalpas. The one known in the Holy Land as Aryadeva emanated into the Gar clan of Eastern Tibet as Chadingpa, the heart son of Jigten Sumgun. May the life of glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 eons. We acknowledge that Vajra Dakini Nunnery is on the traditional unceded land of the Wabanaki Confederacy, the stewards of this land for many centuries before European settlement. We honor all indigenous peoples' beliefs, cultural heritage, their relationship with the land, the knowledge of their elders, and the spirit of the ancient ones. This recognition of indigenous territorial land and beliefs is a small step along the long road of recognizing the truth of our shared history and moving toward reconciliation. We will continue this journey with our indigenous neighbors as we weave our paths together in right relation.
Oh, good. Thank you.